Hey everyone. So, over the past week or so, I've had several people reach out to me asking me to give an opinion or to take sides or whatever in this whole battle between Roadhog and Real Entertainment News. Right off the bat, I noped right the fuck out of that. Now, though, after learning of a few things, a few actions by both parties, I believe, that are highly problematic in my opinion, I do want to give some opinion, but only on these actions. I'm not going to give opinion on all of their actions regarding this, because at that point it feels like it's a little bit pedantic, and we all kind of do some shit things when we're kind of arguing or debating or battling or whatever. So I don't really want to nitpick this. I just want to focus on these bigger issues that I do find potentially damaging and definitely problematic. And I have to say, in my opinion, they're both kind of guilty of doing highly problematic things in this situation. I'm also not going to be giving any opinion or commentary on any of the actions of anyone else that's involved in this, because they're not doing these huge problematic actions in which I'm speaking of. Though I do think they may be supporting it, but it's not, I don't think that they're alone there. I think a lot of people are kind of supporting it. What I mean by that is, when you are presented with an opportunity to discuss a problematic behavior on the side in which you happen to be supporting most, if you instead say, oh yeah, well what about that? Then you're not addressing the bad behavior. In my opinion, and really, who the fuck am I? So don't take this too hard. Don't take this, or rather take this with a huge grain of salt, like all the salt in the world, okay? Instead, my suggestion would be something along the lines of, yeah, you're right. That is fucked up. You know what else is fucked up too? That. Look, it's just a suggestion. Really, what do I know? One last thing before I go into this. I want to point out that though I may disagree with these actions in which I will be speaking on today, I do not disagree with either person as a content creator or as a person. We are not the result, or we're not accurately represented by only one of our actions. We are actually the sum of all of our actions. And this is the one thing I really ask and request for people to consider when they're placing judgment on me. So I will, in return, do the same for others. When I look at these two content creators, or any other creators for that matter, I don't look at any one action. I look at the sum of all their actions. And yes, for those who are wondering, I apply the same approach to Katie as well, which is kind of why I got to the point I did with her. I have no specific order in which I'm going to speak of these things, just whatever ones come in my head at the time. None of this is scripted. I'm just winging it here, which means I have a shitload of editing to look forward to when I'm done. Okay, so first things first. The first thing I'm going to address here is Roadhog's use of the N-word, okay? Now, if it's okay with everyone, I'd like to address Roadhog directly here, and not just Roadhog. If you have ever used this word, let alone use this word and excused it, please consider what I'm about to say directed to you as well. And I say this knowing full well that what I'm about to say would have absolutely been accurately directed at younger versions of myself. Okay, so listen, man, here's the deal, okay? You can't use that word ever for any reason. Now, and I get it, believe me, I do. You know, you may tell yourself, well, it's just a word, or I took the R off the end of it, or it's not that big of a deal, or, racism isn't the same that it used to be now. I mean, I use that word for everyone, or I'm colorblind, or that word isn't even meant to be directed at black people. It has this definition, and it's only because of our ancestors that it's now offensive to black people. It's not my word. Or hell, even I'm taking it back. Whatever excuse you give yourself, they're all wrong. They're all bullshit. Now, in any other argument or any other context, maybe these arguments would be fitting. However, in this context, in this situation, in all forms of racism, whenever you're discussing racism, it's wrong. And the thing that tells us it's wrong, what determines that it's wrong, is not us. What the fuck do we know about racism? We're white. We have no right to tell anyone what should be considered racist or how they should feel about certain forms of racism when directed at them. Who the hell are we? Now, I seem to remember an earlier stream of yours where you had Julie on, and there was a phrase that you repeated often that was, we believe victims first. Okay, well, why doesn't this apply equally to victims of racism? Why is it that when victims of sexual assault or harassment or whatever come forward, we're told not to question them, and rightfully so, I think, for the most part. We're told not to question them. But then when someone who's a victim of racism comes forward and says, listen, this racist act was committed toward me by this person, this is what happened. Why is it then that we find no issue with questioning it, judging it, thinking we have some sort of sense of authority to determine if they're right or not? What is that about? Come on. Now, yeah, of course, just because we're white doesn't mean we're completely oblivious to racism. We can spot really obvious signs of racism. Like, we can spot if someone gets fired because they're black and they were called the N-word when they were being fired, or anytime the N-word is used, we can spot that and say, yeah, that's racist. Yep. But there's so many other ways, so many other subtle ways, and so many other more common ways that we will never spot unless it's pointed out to us. So for that simple fact alone, we should never question it. We should never think that we know better than someone who has regularly felt the stings of racism. We don't know better. We don't know more than them. We had no right to speak on this. The only thing we need to do is shut up and listen. That is all. So regardless of whatever excuse it is you're giving for using that word, it's wrong. I don't even need to hear it. It's wrong. It's okay though. It's okay that you don't know this or you didn't know this. I didn't know it either for the overwhelming majority, most of my life. I had no clue. I was one of those white people who said, I'm not racist. I had plenty of black friends, or I was one of those white people who saw the beautiful, nice long curly hairs. Oh, can I touch your hair? I was totally that white person. I'm still that white person who does certain things that's racist or it's racially insensitive, and I don't realize that because I don't know yet. These are just examples of things that I've since been made to realize. So I get it. You just don't know. I'm guessing. I'm thinking you just don't know. Because otherwise, if it was anything other than you just don't know, then it means that you do know and you're doing this on purpose, and that would be shitty. And I don't think that that's it. I don't. I think that you're just oblivious to things like I have been most of my life, and I still am in a lot of ways. That's okay. That's not your fault. I mean, I don't think it was my fault. It's all in how we're raised. And if you're raised white in this country, it's unavoidable. You will turn out to be racist to some degree. The only thing is that I think the majority of the racism we exhibit as adults is unrealized. It's unintended, but it's still there. Okay? We still have to acknowledge it. We still have to listen. We still have to hear when people tell us that what we're doing is extremely insensitive or just flat out racist. We need to hear it. It's only when we refuse to hear it that we refuse to care. And in which case, I think that's when it becomes our fault. I'm not faulting you for that, but please know that it's just not acceptable. It's not cool. It's definitely kind of racist. Whether or not you intend it to be is another matter. I don't think you do. But it doesn't change the fact that it's received the same way as if you did intend it. And that's what makes it racist. If someone is receiving it that way, then you know what? It's just not acceptable. And that being said, Ren's use of the term cracker bitch. Now, you can be offended by that all you want. Okay, me personally, I'm not. But whatever. If you yourself are offended by it, that's fine. You have every right to be offended. You have every right to tell him so. But please, for the love of God, do not sit here and call him a racist. Do not sit here and act like you're some victim of racism because a black man called you a cracker bitch. Because, it may be a prejudice, and fine, if you want to apply that terminology to it, okay, I'll agree to that. But it's not racism, because in order for something to be racist, you have to first be a victim of that racism. You have to have that racism affect you, alter your life in some way. Being called a cracker bitch is not bothering you or like your life. It's of no consequence to your life. So it's not racism. It may be prejudice. It may be just fucking rude as hell. And it may be insulting. But it's not racist. So please stop calling it racist. The next thing I want to discuss is Ren. Ren, I understand that it must be very upsetting to have people coming at you and everything, and you don't know how to accurately defend yourself. I mean, it's one thing if it's happening face to face, because, we can all just start swinging fists and feel better, But on the internet, we can't do that. If we do that, then we're just going to end up ruining our equipment and never go back online, which might be a good thing for some people at times. I don't know. But regardless, I get it. It's frustrating. However, resorting to posting pictures of family or loved ones of those you are fighting with is never acceptable. And I don't care if they're a minor or not. Okay, the same rule, the same concept should apply across the board of all ages. Well, I don't care if their daughter is 14 or 34. If that family member is not actively and directly involved in the argument, the discussion, the debate, the battle, whatever, then they should not be involved. They should not be referenced. They should not be exposed, because they didn't ask for this. And they may, they may even agree with you and think that their family member is an asshole too. But you putting their face on the screen is making an innocent person become a victim in your fight. That's not cool. That's taking things to where they don't need to go. And while I'm on the subject here of this whole taking things to where they don't need to go, before I finish that thought, I need to just briefly interrupt here because I forgot to finish this thought earlier. Now, whereas I point out how if they're not directly involved in the fight or in the debate or whatever, or the back and forth, then you leave them out of it. This doesn't apply, though, to people, family members or loved ones who are involved. For example, Mrs. Roadhog. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't still treat her with some minimal amount of respect. Of course you should. However, you have every right to address her, to debate with her, to fight with her, to argue with her, whatever, because she is out here putting herself involved and maybe even leading the way in some instances. Whatever she feels like doing, it's her right. So, yeah, she can absolutely be directed at. And for the love of God, I want to just say this right here. Now, I don't really know how much exactly these two men are perpetuating this, but I do know all the women in the community around this are perpetuating the fuck out of this. And for granted, I know people are going to disagree with me, but it's my channel. I'm going to give my opinion. The rules of engagement in these discussions, in these debates, in these arguments, in these battles should not change depending on the gender of those engaging. It should stay the same. If you're offended by something because you're a woman, then you should be equally offended as if it were directed at a male. If you're not offended when a female speaks to you a certain way or calls you a name, you should be equally not offended when a male does it. And if you're a man and you're in this fight and you find it acceptable to talk to a man a certain way, then you should also apply that same verbiage to a female. If you find it unacceptable to speak that way to a female, then you can bet your ass it's just as unacceptable to say it to a male. There is no gender-specific speech when it comes to arguing or debating or speaking, okay? We're all humans, okay? We have every right to be offended by certain things if we find it offensive, but to then expect people to listen and adhere to your offenses just because of what's between your legs is fucking maddening to me. Just grow the fuck up and treat people the way they should be treated, the way you feel you should be treated. And if you're treating people shitty, then you should kind of expect it back. I don't care what fucking gender you are. Okay, break over. Back to what I was saying. I want to discuss, lastly, the real life issues here that are happening. Some time ago, I had commented on a tweet. I think it was Roadhog or Mrs. Roadhog had put up. I think it might have been Roadhog. And he had tweeted a screenshot of someone leaving a comment about contacting Roadhog's employer because he films or he records these videos while on his break in his work truck or some shit. Fuck you. Whoever left that comment, just fuck you, okay? Let me tell you something. If at any point in time you get angry over somebody's actions or somebody's speech online, stop for a moment and ask yourself this question. If you were told this to your face directly by this person, unless your action, your next action would be to hop in your car, drive to their place of employment, walk into their boss's office, and demand they be fired because they hurt your feelings, don't fucking do it online. Unless it's acceptable and logical for you to do this in person, you don't fucking do it online. You just don't. Because you doing this online, their job is not threatened, if their job is not threatening you, if their job is not harming anyone else, okay, if them holding this job and being a dick to you is of no consequence to their job or to those surrounding their job, then you are just you're trying to control, you're trying to put your freaking hand all over someone's life and control it and manipulate it and just fucking destroy it. And if that's you, if you find that okay, then you are exactly what is wrong with the internet. Just know that. You are the thing. You are the one who will ruin it for the rest of us. So just shut the fuck up. And while I'm on the subject, I'm going to discuss the whole contacting of Ren's rental leasing agency, whatever. I never even heard. There's rental agencies like that. I never even heard of that. Anyway, I cannot find anything confirming that this is what has been done. But I'm going to speak on it as if it has been done. Now, I don't know if Roadhog did. I can't find anything that says he did, nor can I find anything that says he didn't, okay? So I'm not saying he did, but I do think it's very plausible that him or one of his supporters may have done this. Or I think it's more likely he might have just either encouraged it or did not discourage it, rather. And a supporter somewhere took the hint and went and did it. I think that's more likely what happened. But I could be wrong. But either way, I'm going to address this as if someone did contact the agency. You're a dick. Okay, you are like one little notch, tiny notch, but you're one little notch worse than the person who was discussing contacting Roadhog's employer, okay? Because now you're fucking with someone's home. Who the hell are you to judge? Who the hell are you to decide who's privileged enough or entitled enough to have a place to live, man? What the fuck? What kind of damage do you have in your life that you want to just go out of your way and just take away any chance of home another person may have? Another person in another state, then, well, I'm assuming you're in a different state. Either way, whether or not he has a place to live, it has no bearing on your life. You just want to sit back and just be like, yeah, fuck you. You're doing it just to fucking hurt someone. You're not only what's wrong with the internet, you are what's wrong with humanity, in my opinion. Don't fucking do that. Now, in terms of what should be fair game to be discussed on the internet, for example, Ren, your shit with Jodi Arias, that's fair game. That can be discussed, I think, because a lot of it played out in the media, or it played out on social media, rather. It's public, okay? You were on Dr. Phil, from what I'm told. I haven't seen it, but I believe you were on Dr. Phil. Yeah, so that makes it all fair game. I'm sorry, but it does. Your eviction, though, is not fair game, okay? That did not play out online. That did not happen online. They happened in your own private home, your own private world, whatever. If it did in fact happen, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't confirmed any of this. But anyone's eviction is not fair game. It's not. Now, I know some people will disagree with me on this. However, an arrest, an actual, or not even so much an arrest, but I would say a conviction. Yeah, I would say that's fair game to be discussed. It was convicted. It was proven in a court of law. It is the accepted narrative by the powers that be, by authority, by the public. Yeah, that's fair game. An arrest, well, it is public record, though I would caution against using an arrest to make any kind of argument that you may be wanting to make, because anyone can be arrested at any time for anything. but no, we're not all guilty, not by a long shot. So if you want to use someone's criminal past against them, I would stick to just the convictions and leave the arrests alone. But that's just my opinion. However, arrests are still public record, and really, I don't see how they can't be fair game. Someone's addiction. Well, I'm going to say that's not fair game because, well, if they were arrested and they went through drug court or something like that and that information was made public or they were convicted, okay, fine. That bit of it, that part of the information is fair game. But someone being vulnerable for a moment and being honest and discussing any kind of troubles they went through, whether they were doing it for some form of self-therapy or whether they're doing it to help give hope to others who may be listening, that's not fair game, man, because they're doing something good. They're putting themselves out there. They're trying to help either themselves or other people. To then take that and use that against them, man, that's just some fucked up shit. Now, before I continue, I want to add here that Roadhog did apologize for this. And this I did hear. I heard this. I heard him apologize for this on his live stream, like 2 hours after he streamed it, okay? And I thought it was a good apology, and I still think it's a good apology. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate that shit an 8.5, okay? It was a good apology, in my opinion. However, it's not my opinion that matters. I was not the one who was wronged here. T-Spiracy was. So it's really up to her to determine whether or not that's an acceptable apology. And it's her damage. I can't tell her, no, you have to accept this in lieu of your damage. I know that's not my place. That's her place to determine that. And whatever she determines, I have to support. I'm just giving my opinion on this from the place in which I am in this whole scenario, which is really no place. I'm on the outside here. So take it with a grain of salt. Take it however you wish, whatever. But apology or no apology, it ain't right. I don't think that this is public. I don't think this is fair game. I don't think this information is fair game for anyone to use against anyone. Sorry. Now, I addressed this last part in my live stream last night, and I'm going to do it again. When it comes to Mrs. Roadhog, I know a lot of people are throwing around little digs here and there about how can you support his behavior? How can you just stand by and let him do this? If for 1 second you think that she's letting him do anything, you have never been married. And I want to say, I would expect no different from her. And the reason for that is I would expect no different from my spouse. If I were out here, even if I were out here making a fool of myself, I would expect my spouse publicly to have my back, to fight for me, to get in anyone's face and just tell them to fucking sit down. But in private, that's when all gloves are off. That's a whole nother story. In private is when I would expect my spouse to say, yo, you're being a bitch. Knock it off. Because I would do the same thing for them. If they were in public and they were all acting a fool and anyone dared to come at us for it, I'd be right there standing in front of my spouse, getting in anyone's face. But the second we got in private, it'd be a whole nother story. They would really get an earful from me. Okay, and that's how a marriage is. Okay, you're a united front. Okay, it's what behind closed doors. That's when you can be honest with us. That's when you can be vulnerable and honest with each other, and that's when you owe it to one another to be that. But in public, you're a united front always. For those of you who are giving Mrs. Roadhog shit, no, please don't, because I expect this from her. If she's a halfway decent spouse, I guess I would expect this from her, and I would expect this from Roadhog too if the tables were turned. Because I'll tell you right now, God help any spouse of mine who did not have my back. Now you can disagree with that. I may be wrong. Mrs. Roadhog may actually be wrong for this. But you're not going to change my mind. I'm sorry. We just have to agree to disagree if you think that this is wrong. And this is one of those things where maybe it is wrong. But for me, for my values, for my morals, for my relationships, it's not wrong. And lastly, I just want to wrap it up with something I've said several times now on my channel, and I'm going to keep saying it. You might want to reconsider applying the same expectations of YouTube content creators that you would apply to, say, who you're choosing for a friend or a best friend or a spouse. because you're just going to have way too high of expectations, man. You just are. Because these content creators, I don't owe you anything. Okay, you don't owe me anything as a viewer. I don't owe you anything as a content creator. I can be whoever I want to be, whoever I am. You don't get the right to lay your morals or your values on me and expect me to take them on. And I don't have any right to expect you to overlook shit that you find problematic from me or my channel. If we're not a fit, we're not a fit. It's okay. I get it. Or if we're not a fit today, but we might be tomorrow, great. I look forward to tomorrow. It's okay. I can get mad at viewers. I don't think it would be right of me, though, to single them out and call them out. And I think I've kind of done this before in the past, and I'm very remorseful for it. So I'm not going to do it again. And it's okay for viewers to get mad at me and just decide they don't want to watch me or they want to just unsubscribe. It's cool. You do you. I hope you come back, though. You will be missed and you will always be wanted back. That's up to you, though. And I get it, though. I do. I understand. So please don't apply these impossible expectations to a YouTube channel. You're not really going to find your morality twin anywhere, let alone on YouTube. There's going to be things about every single content creator on the platform that you will find disagreeable. And there will be things about almost every content creator on the platform that you will find agreeable. And it should be nothing more or less than that. And that's okay. So I really hope that those issuing ultimatums to either the content creators or other viewers or their friends online, I really hope that they stop, because it shouldn't be that serious to any of us. Our relationships with one another should not be this dependent on these purity tests, because we're all fucking human. We're never going to pass these purity tests. It's never going to happen. I mean, you can have, I get it though, some things, some issues are very important to you, and that's fine. Use that to determine who to watch. But to then expect your friends to follow suit, or other viewers to follow suit, or the channel to get in line, that's just unrealistic. And really, you're not going to have a good time on the platform if that's what you're doing. And I say this with the utmost care, because you're going to have a miserable time. In fact, I think that that's really why so many people hate the comment section, because the comment sections are so full of that. But I mean, yeah, that's the comment sections. They've always kind of been like a trash fire, right? Now, I selfishly say this because I want to try and limit the hate that comes into my comment section. I realize I may not succeed at that, but I'm going to try. I also want to add, too, that there are, in fact, some people who I'm seeing are giving other people shit, giving these two content creators shit for like horrific behavior that they're pointing out. But these same people were kind of in my comments just a few months ago, kind of exhibiting some of the same horrific shit. Now, I'm not keeping tally or whatever. I don't care. But I'm only pointing this out because if this is you, or if you even think that this could be you, then it might be possible that you are exploiting one person's horrific behavior for your own personal reasons. And, you know, regardless of what that is, that's still kind of exploitative. I would hope that all of us were genuine in our outrage and not trying to use it to further some agenda or further some vengeance or further some hatred or whatever. And I say this not to viewers, not to people watching. I say this to myself too, okay? None of us are above this. None of us are safe from being guilty of this. We all do it. I do it. I know I do. I know I've done it. And I welcome anyone to point it out if I'm doing it. I kindly ask that you do so nicely. For granted, you don't owe it to me to be nice, but it's going to be better received if you're not a dick about it. So, and that's, again, why I'm trying not to be a dick here about any of these things, because all that's going to do is hurt more people. It's going to continue the behavior. It's going to continue more people being hurt. So, I don't know. Maybe if we all just tried to not be so much of a dick. I'm going to wrap this up with just a quick statement to Ren and Roadhog. Listen, you guys, I know you guys are fighting. I get it. And I get that it's frustrating because, like I pointed out earlier, it's not like you're in a bar. It's not like you can just take a swing at each other. I mean, let's face it. Sometimes a little bit of a fist fight is really fucking needed to resolve something. I get it. But you're not. You can't do that. You're online. So, and I get it that something gets done to you and you get so angry you want to top it. You feel like you have to top it. I get it. But neither one of you are coming out looking good at this point. So if your goal is to look pretty fucking horrible, well then, hey, keep it up. But if your goal is not that, it's anything other than that, I hope you kind of hear me here. So anyways, I hope you guys are still cool with me. I mean, if not, I get it. You're probably not that cool with me right now, but I mean, I still think you guys are cool. I hope you guys kind of pull your heads out of your asses for a little while and just long enough to maybe catch a good breath and see exactly how you're looking to everyone. On that note, I have one last thing I want to say, and it has nothing to do with this. This is completely and totally self-serving here. I cannot find a way to contact the Crush Soda Company, okay? I looked up online and everything, and I found that it belongs to or it's owned by a company, Dr. Pepper / Keurig, okay? But then I try to look for contact information for this company, and I can't find any. They have a social media account like Twitter, but it looks like it's like a social marketing account or something. It's not their business. Okay, my whole point of this is fucking Crush Soda. I swear to God, if you don't start producing whatever, your watermelon Crush Soda again, I'm going to cry, okay? I can't find a suitable replacement or whatever. You ruined all other soda for me. I want my fucking watermelon Crush. So please, for the love of God, just start making it again, okay? Please. And I know that the chances of this getting to anyone at Crush is slim to none. So if anyone hearing this knows how I can get in contact with anyone from the company to give a fucking angry tweet to or something, I just want to tweet at them so bad. Please help me out. I'm desperate. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Okay, now it's time for member shoutouts. I like to thank
a real unit. Oh, a real. I always wondered how to pronounce that. Now that I say it out loud, I get it. Okay, a real unicornist, Angel Cake, Maria Rose 1, Lola Flo, Crystal Clark, Sky Vision, Stephanie Lucas, Amputee, TJ from Alaska, Christine Gregg, Mishmash, Lola W, Cherry Berryman, Chronic Space, Sassy Elmo, Autistic Shill, Lil Mousy Girl, Christy Z, VBLCR, Busy Bee, I'm fucking Reagan, Danny Morgan, Sweet Home Alamanda, Young Man is Not Drunk, Sassy Nas, Mariana Santos, Straysky, Christina Elizabeth, Tennessee Ball Mom, Karen Collins, Berillion, Ruby Red Shoes, Shiloh's Messy Art, Plays and Rain, Asbel, Megan Broussard, Molly, Diane Harlow, T King, One Warped Angel, Rose, TB, Austin James, TB, Cheryl, Pretend Fashionista, Crystal, Totally Clueless, Sally Godfrey, Paula Dupree, The Missing Poster, Captain T, Sue Elliott, Rena Rue, Sunny D, Berber, Bo Roundtree, Claire Esper, Jamie Couchard, Joey's Mom, Annette Carlson, Police Wife Life, JCM, Kimberly Roddy Mom, Atticus Finch, Lola, Jeanette Stevens, Gentry Art, Jen Gerard, Poodlerific, and Yoo-Hoo Shoo Shoo.
Thank you so much for joining, and thank you everyone for watching.